Steve, right now, wizard battle. Expelliarmus!
Fuck you!
Wingardium Leviosa!
Up your ass too!
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Power kill! And on that note, we're talking about magic today, ladies and gentlemen.
Magic, superstitions, a little bit.
A little bit of what you can believe to be real and not real and still have exist in your world.
Yeah, it'll be a deep dive, and we'll be talking about a lot of topics.
Because have you ever had those moments where you look at yourself in the mirror and you just think of something and you don't really understand why you're thinking about it and everything about you just says that makes no sense, and then later on that day, what happens? Exactly what you were thinking about becomes in a part of your life that you can't avoid and you have to deal with it.
We actually talked about that.
Exactly. We'll talk about that today. And with no further ado, it's your boy Waffles.
And your boy Mallory.
And this is
Couch Surfing. Let's do it.
When I play D&D, I get in character.
Oh, dude, I would too. Because that's the point of D&D is you're supposed to you're escaping the realm of reality or your current reality, and you're going into this new reality of this setting you guys created or that's been created for you.
Right.
All right, now I am a mage. Now I am a druid. Now I am a brawler. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know if that's a real class, but yeah.
No, so, I mean, we'll get into that once we start playing.
Okay.
I have to buy another $50 book because I need that good book. You know what I'm talking about? I don't want that bullshit download the PDF.
Yeah.
No, I want
The 12-page guide.
Right, 12-page guide. Create your character. No,
Yeah.
I'm here to
What do you
make sure
create?
you guys.
Go on an adventure. I could have fucking created that 12-step guide, man.
Right, exactly. But so no, that's the beautiful thing about D&D is that when you do get into it, most people treat it like a video game, right? In a video game, you crack an NPC,
Oh, dude,
whatever,
for sure.
whatever. But in D&D, you crack an NPC, shit, dude. Now
He
you're
gonna
wanted.
He gonna crack you back. Yeah.
He gonna crack you back, and you might get lucky. You don't know.
Yeah.
But another thing that I like about D&D is that it lets you believe for a moment that all that mystical mumbo jumbo type bullshit is real for just the few hours or few minutes you're really playing D&D, right?
Well, yeah. So that's a good
where-
segue.
yeah.
That's a good segue. We could take it towards our reality of magic, right? And that's what the topic of today is going to become about. Is
Magic in the real world.
traditions, superstitions, just how we perceive it, how it's gone through our lives, and this is what we can talk about on its behalf.
Right. Because the thing is that sucks, I would say, really about our world is that we have so many things, right? But if I want that bag of chips over there, right, I gotta get my ass up, gotta walk across the kitchen and grab that bag of chips. Now, not the most inconvenient thing.
See, you think of magic, it's so funny, because you're not the only one. Actually, a lot of people probably think about it more than but it's more of I wish magic was convenient. Was a convenience for me.
Right.
I wish I could just go zap and my food just magically appeared here and I didn't have to move a muscle.
Exactly.
Right, that's you.
Yeah.
A lot of people go beyond that scale because again that's nothing wrong with it, but that's superficial thinking. You know what I mean? That really is.
It really, I mean, again, I will say this.
Oh, dude, that's exactly who you are, though, and I love you for it, for sure.
Because I mean, again, at this point, right? I'm not one of those people that are oh yes, tradition and belief, super powerful. I'm a scientist. I'm an engineer, right? If magic was real, 90% of it to me would be how do I make my phone, open doors throughout reality. Right?
But that's
what I
the
would
thing.
be
It's
doing.
you'd be the guy to try and dissect it and be able to make it universal, right?
Right.
Am I wrong in that statement?
No, that is 100%.
But that's, you see it in a lot of TV shows where that's always the concept. Oh, there's this magical witch, this witch that can actually use powers on whim and can actually lift bottles up without touching it, without any gimmick.
Right.
Let's dissect her.
Right. This kid in.
It's
I
kinda-
wanted to dissect.
I know you.
But you know what I mean. People get to that point though. They're that's their first thought. It's
What's inside of her that's making that?
yeah.
What's inside that witch?
What makes her different than me that she can use these powers?
Right.
Wow. You know what I mean? People get to that point. Some people are more humane about it, of course.
They try.
And others are definitely not.
No.
And that's the thing about like technology and science and everything like that. It's never inherently good or evil. It's just who's using it makes it so.
Right.
Right? Like, oh, this witch. Witch always has a negative connotation, and I can tell you why.
Yeah.
But Salem witch trials is the good place to start.
The best place.
Right, and that became because of not the Catholic Church, but just the churches in general. Right, because like, oh, dude, there's been wars on churches within itself of civil wars since England, right? With Henry VIII, I want to say it's Henry VIII with his Anglican church, and he got excommunicated, creates his own church.
Yeah.
Based on the same Bible that the Catholic Church believed, or the Christian Church, because I don't think Catholicism was big back then. Or at least in England, right? There's like just Christianity.
Right.
Because Christianity is the big umbrella, and Catholicism falls under that.
Can I ask you a question?
Uh-huh.
Do you believe that like religion belief is its own form of like, magic in a sense?
Yeah, I kind of do. That's a hot take though, but at the same time, like in the sense of.
So let me repeat the question, right? So you said if religion was a.
I mean, like genuinely because like I
The
knew a
belief
guy-
of religion is magical.
Like
Is that
okay,
right?
so like I knew this will give you a better idea of what I'm trying to.
Yeah, please.
I knew a guy named I can't remember his name.
No, you don't even know
I
his
worked
name.
with a guy.
Yeah.
He was super hardcore, like religious, like believed in God and everything. Funny thing was, he used to be a rock star and like, he did drugs and all those things. But when he finally said, when he told me he found God, he devoted himself to it, all that thing, and then eventually he gained this sort of thing he could do where he would touch you and you would feel like energy running down your back and your arms and everything like that. And like I wouldn't go as far as to call that pure magic, but like when you find someone who puts like when you look
Something
at magic,
like you could call it magic, he might call it divinity.
Right.
You know what I mean, right?
That's
Like,
what I'm trying to ask.
interchangeable words.
People who put in all their energy and time and believing and worshiping God that eventually have like some blessings given to them.
Yeah.
Would you call that magic, or would you call that like just something else?
I mean, like I said, it depends on the person, right? But for me personally, it's whatever. I don't want to be that guy and have no answer. Like it can be magic if I'm talking to the person who thinks it's magic. You know what I mean? And I'm not gonna. If that guy touched me and I experienced that, I'd be like, oh wow, that was a magical experience, because what magic means is just beyond our capability of thinking of the physical world, right? Within the realm of physics, it goes beyond. It's supernatural, in a sense. That's what magic is in a nutshell.
Right.
So if that's what it did, right, it touched me, and I could not make any head or tails as to why my synapses just fire off the way it did. Be like, yeah, that's a magical experience, right?
Yeah. I mean,
And he would be like, oh yeah, it could be magical, but I see it as divine. Okay, well then that's divination for you right there. But it got me to a magical place, right? So like,
it got me to a place that I wouldn't have gone through normally or like
Correct.
naturally. Yeah.
Like I use the word, and I've had arguments with people like this, and they're like, oh, because I studied communication in one of my college years, right? And like literally it was interpersonal communication. And my teacher burned this in my head, because he was like, okay, there's compromisation and then there's collaboration. They're different. Oh, okay, like what's the difference? Because they both sound like two teams working together, right? Because I see a lot of people using the words like, let's compromise. And it's like, now when I think of that word, I'm like, oh, that's negative. But that's just because, like, listen to the word itself, compromise. When you compromise yourself, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Right? You feel like you're confining yourself.
Right.
In a sense, right? So when you're compromising with someone, you're confining each other. So like it's not a win-win technically. It's not a lose-lose completely.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lose-lose in the sense that you don't both win. You don't both necessarily lose all out, but you guys lose on what you guys wanted in one aspect or another. Collaboration is where you go, hey, I see your goal, I see my goal. Let's meet each other there without compromising any aspect of our goal.
Right, which is, in my opinion, so hard to get to.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, we did this pretty well, I will say.
Oh yeah.
This
I mean, how we've gotten to this point where like our communication to each other and hopefully to the audience is so fluid. It's another thing, because when we first started out, dude, it was not magical.
No.
It was not magical at all.
No.
But it had to be ugly before it could be beautiful. That's just how it goes, right? Like the story of the ugly duckling. You know
Right. You gotta get. I mean, like, look at me. One day, guys, 10, 20, maybe 30 years, this face will be on the cover of People magazine.
But dude, if that beard grows like nice and full, and you could become the next Socrates. And look, let me see. And look.
Yeah.
Now you just need to get there in thought process.
I thought about that the other day, like philosophy. Honestly, my thing with philosophy is we need to give philosophy another shot.
Dude,
I feel like we stopped thinking.
That's the funny thing is like, you just got to that point. I never stopped believing in that idea. That
I mean,
I didn't think we shouldn't give it another shot because I always thought it had its shot. I just think we should let it go its path. You know what I mean?
I mean, what I meant by that is like give it another shot. Is that like?
No, I know exactly what you mean, and you're right in the sense that but that's because I've seen philosophy through my eyes.
Yeah.
And I can see it through your eyes in the sense that a lot of people don't give it the credit it should give it.
No, dude. I mean, have you talked to my family about philosophy? Like, if you talk to my dad about philosophy, he'll go, philosophy? I mean, if you talk to my dad about 90% of anything, right, he'll call it stupid because of the fact that either it doesn't make you money or thinking about it just wastes your time.
Yeah.
Because you can't change
sure.
it. That's
the thing is, I mean, I want to say, they took it religion. They took it to a religion point, but Siddhartha Gautama, right, the guy who became now known as Buddha, he was not religious.
No,
he was actually a high-class person. So he wasn't. Some stories like to say he was a prince, but a lot of stories say he was just was living in with a wealthy family.
Yeah.
And he just got rid of everything he owned and just gave up on, not gave up, but he turned inward. You know what I mean? He went philosophical for his own right.
Yeah.
In a sense. And that philosophy turned into religion. Just not like Jesus in a sense, but they both didn't want a religion named after them. It just became the case. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyways, let's go back to magic real quick.
Magic gathering or magic?
Magic, the topic of discussion.
Yeah.
We'll get back to philosophy. I'll probably tie in with this because
philosophy.
And here's how it can, because like philosophy, because a lot of people don't like to believe in philosophy, because it goes against literally the logic of how our world has been created.
Right.
Right? Literally, there's paradoxes, because that's a big thing in philosophy is the paradoxes that people create. Xenos Paradox, if you ever heard of that one, was the paradox of motion. Right? If you're racing, right, it does a concept of time. Spartacus gives a tortoise a 50-meter head start. Yeah. He'll never pass him based on time because even though that tortoise is moving at a slower rate of time, right, it's still moving. Yeah. So let's say Spartacus cuts that distance in half. The tortoise has moved at least, not a meter, but at least something of a distance forward. Yeah. He cuts that distance in half again. The tortoise keeps moving forward. So technically, based on this theory, I believe it's Xenos, but it is a philosophical paradox. Spartacus, even though he is faster than the tortoise, if time is not of the concept, right, and we're just talking distance alone, he'll never pass the tortoise. Which is hard to wrap your brain around because you go, oh yeah, I can because I timed it. Right. But we took time out of this equation. It's just distance. Now we're just talking distance. Okay, well, space and time go hand in hand. So that's where the whole war on physics versus philosophy becomes a thing.
I'm so confused. Okay.
Well, here's another way.
Wait, no.
Here's a different one. Here's an easier one. Yeah. There's one that I always like because it's really easy and short and simple. You can't put your foot in the same river twice.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
Why? Do you know?
Because the water is always running.
The water's always running. Your foot's never the same foot.
Oh, right. It's never the same foot. Yeah.
Your foot is never the same. It's never in that spot twice. Because time is different. Time changes things completely, right? I can put my finger in this water, take it out. I can do the same thing. It's not the same finger. It's not the same water. Right.
And people will try to, you'll try to say well, it is the same finger. It's not technically because of the fact that now that finger has gone in the water once and now it's not the same finger.
Or have you heard the Jason the Argo paradox? So he had a boat, right? Jason the Argo had his mast. Yeah. And so each piece would dilapidate. They would take that piece.
Oh yeah. They had that in WandaVision. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't seen WandaVision, but yeah. So they take one of the pieces of the boat, they take it off and replace it with another one. They do that for every piece. Now they have two boats. Which one is the original Argo boat?
Right.
Is it the first one with all the, or is it the first one with all the old pieces, or is it the one that Jason's still sailing on that has all the new ones?
I mean, well, yeah, exactly. That's
But now he has two. So is it duplicated? Is it copied? Is it cloned? Or what's the? You know, it's not cloned in my opinion because it's replaced with new parts. But you know what I mean? Like those are like the philosophical questions people ask, and people just either don't want to have that brain capacity to think beyond it, or like I said, it shatters reality literally.
Speaking of brain capacity, do you think like if we, because you know, like my whole thing, because we are talking about magic, right?
Yeah, brain capacity goes straight good into this. So
Yeah.
Let's get into it.
Like, do you think like we're just not thinking about? Because like if you take the whole every single aspect of like a brick, right? You take a brick, you consider the atoms, how they're aligned, all that shit. The fact that we can't? Do you think if we could understand even more about the brick, we could do something with our minds with it? Because my whole thing for a long time was like, there's this theory I'm still working on, right? But like there are only two things we have witnessed to be existing in the universe that have no shape and no form at all, and that is sound.
You say that, but sound does have
Sound
has form
travels.
in wavelengths.
Well, yeah, but it travels, but like it has no form. I mean, it has no like body, right? The air, this table, everything's
Well,
made
then
out of
you can make
atoms.
the same argument with air, right? It has no body, doesn't it?
No, but what I mean is that everything else around us is made out of atoms, like baryonic matter, right? But sound travels on baryonic matter. It doesn't actually create its own body as it exits our mouth, and then like has like form, and then reaches you, and then dissipates that form to create sound. It travels on the air.
What if sound was just what if sound that we make is just the negative space of air? Does that make sense? So like when I open my mouth and I'm breathing.
Right.
That's all I'm doing is
Yeah.
I'm just breathing. I had a friend who taught me about this. This is going way out of magic. Maybe we'll change the topic.
No, I'm gonna bring it into magic.
Okay, but I keep pulling it out.
Yeah.
Well, like my friend that I used to work with was like, the only reason why we could speak the way we do is because we controlled our breathing. If you ever noticed a dog, and I've done this to my dog a couple of times, not to harm him, but I'd see if he could control his breathing. He can't. He really can't. It's all autonomic.
Yeah.
Autonomic. It's all automatic. Let's say that.
Yeah.
For us, it's not when we want to speak. We have that switch in our head that can make it, I believe the word is somatic, where it's like, oh, I can talk, right? Because I can control my breathing in a way that I can make these sounds. Right. So maybe, and again, this is not even a working theory, maybe not even a hypothesis to say. It's just a hot take. But like maybe it's the negative, like pictures have a negative space. Like maybe our voices are created because of the negative space of atoms moving out of the way to let our wavelength of voice travel.
That does follow. I mean, in my opinion, it follows because if you, again, like I said, the wavelength, right?
Mm-hmm.
The wavelength alters how atoms are naturally, like, the air is in a static position.
Yeah, I was gonna say, all you're doing is breathing air, and so everything else is working around that to let your voice be heard. Maybe that's why I hear it differently, because you're hearing it from where you're hearing it, right? Like 5 feet away from me, I'm hearing it from my own head.
Right.
That's why it might sound, and even when you like play your voice to yourself, it sounds weird.
Yeah.
We've done this because we've done this podcast so many times where we listen and we go, I'll say it to myself, about myself, be like, I sound so weird. And you'll say the same thing about yourself.
Right.
And then when we collaborate with each other on it, we go, no, you sound fine.
Yeah.
You sound good. I like your
sound
voice in this episode. And you say the same thing for me. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome then, you know?
But taking it back to magic.
Yeah, let's go back to magic.
So like the idea is that like sound itself is the shift in air around us. It doesn't have an atom that reaches you and goes, this is sound. And thoughts are the same way, right? Because they are actually like just electrical signals that transmit. They don't actually have, they carry neurochemicals and all those things with us.
They require energy too.
They do require energy, but they themselves don't create energy. They are a result of energy in our brain, right? So
That we know of, let's just say that.
That we know of.
That we know
That
of.
we
It
know
could create, like, who knows? There might be an alternate universe that we are creating in our minds. You know what I mean?
so that's
And
what
our
I'm getting
thoughts
to.
that don't get translated into this reality gets translated into a reality we have no idea exists.
Exactly.
Perhaps.
So this is the gist of what I'm saying, right? If those are the only two things that we naturally create with our bodies that don't have physical form, right? They have, but they still clearly interact with our universe. They need to have I believe they would have like another level of interacting with the universe, right? Because if you look at the physical body, right? I can pick up these cans, I can throw these cans, I can manipulate my environment with my physical body. But thoughts and sound are the only two things that don't actually affect the physical surroundings of us until our bodies, go out and to perform the action that our sound or thoughts create. So where wouldn't magic being the only, you look at take a magic spell and you say like Avada Kedavra, right?
Or Spelliarmus,
right? Okay. Now forget the wand, because the wands are proven to just be a focus of where all that magic goes.
It just helps you to focus.
Exactly, yeah. So take away that. Really, the mind and the sound are the only things creating that effect in the physical world.
Well, you see that in a lot of like iterations of like shaman. I'm not even going to use wizards because people go to Harry Potter. We just use Harry Potter terms.
Right.
But shamans are the same things. They carry like their staff or some tool that helps them, like you said, to channel or focus their powers. But the best shamans, based on like what I've seen or what I've witnessed or experienced, because I have, and through whether it's YouTube or some other form of internet, or like I said, I took a class on this, and we've had guests come through who were shamans. So in that respect, they have said that in some instances, some shamans do not need it. They use it because it makes it easier for them, but they don't need it. Right? Because they're that much in tune with their magical capabilities.
Right. But how do their magical capabilities work? Is it their mind, right? Is it just their thoughts manifesting in this world? Because if that's the case, right, then that's where we need to get. You know what I mean?
And that's the thing is with shamans, it's not a thing of like they don't want to share that power with you. Sometimes they just don't know how because it's individualistic to each person.
Right.
Just like in like anime shows where they have a magical concept, it's like, why hasn't this person awakened it? Or why is this person more gifted than the other? Is it hereditary? Is it because some other reason we don't know? Like, it's just as unknown to them as it is unknown to us.
Right.
They had the capability of tapping into whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
We just haven't gotten to that aspect. Or maybe we have and we just haven't realized how powerful it is, right? It's like a good example is the Psyche Cake, right? His magical power is so beyond that people who are also psychics in their own right can't tell because they're engulfed in his.
Right.
The only time they tell is when he has created that distance and like, I feel a great presence at this school. Then they get to the school and they're like, I don't feel the presence at all. Because they're engulfed in it.
Right, yeah.
So it could be the same thing for humans. We could be so magical that we just don't know we're magical at all. Right? It's almost like the normalcy thing, right? It's like I don't know if it's a paradox. It's not. I kind of want to believe it is, but it's the idea of like, if everybody was perfect, nobody would be. Or if everybody was perfect, like life wouldn't be joyful anymore. If we had perfect throughout our life, like our life wouldn't be what it is. We have the highs because of the lows. We have the lows, or we need the lows to have the highs. That's how it goes. If everything was such a flat line of perfection, or even if it was a scaled up plateau of perfection, right, you just kept going up. Like one day you're gonna be like, okay, I'm kind of bored with being happy all the time, right? People do that. There's a beautiful quote that says something like that, where it was like, if you saw sunshine every day, you'd be living in the desert, right?
No, that's a fact. Like my whole thing is like, again, I want that to be real. I want the whole idea of like, all the limitless power to be real.
You want the Harry Potter magic.
I don't want the Harry Potter magic to be real. The magic I want to be real is the magic where hard work, training your mind, getting,
That is Harry Potter
You
magic.
earn your magical.
That is Harry Potter magic.
No, Harry Potter magic is show up, read a book, repeat what the book fucking says, and it's there.
But you could consider that hard work just in a different form, right?
No,
because I'm working hard to memorize this spell. Right, Harry Potter, I haven't read the books. It's going to be based on the movie. From what it seemed, Hermione was the one who studied really hard.
Yeah.
She was gifted.
Yeah.
Harry was naturally gifted because
both his parents were wizards.
well, he just worked hard. I mean, that too. Like it could have been.
It
It could have been genetic.
Shit, yeah.
Could have been genetic, dude. He was in the Goblet of Fire at the youngest age when he shouldn't have been.
Which
And he
wasn't
made it-
by
And he made it work out.
choice.
Of
Yeah.
course, but he made it work.
That's true.
Right? He got to the very end. And, you mean
He gave it more willpower than Hermione.
But that's the thing is he worked harder in the sense of his shortcomings and everything he had to do. I feel like he came from a shitty home, didn't he?
And he went through like more trials and tribulations.
Exactly.
Like, there's like scenes where it was just him and Ron, like no one else was around. Or whatever.
It would be like the case of like Naruto and I would want to say Shikamaru, but Shikamaru was like he worked hard, but
He just didn't care.
He always complained about it.
But no, here's the thing, right? If you the whole thing with trials and tribulations, that's in Hunter x Hunter. On Hunter x Hunter, if you get hit hard enough by somebody who has Nen, or in that case Hunter x Hunter magic, you can unlock your own magic.
Right.
But my thing is the magic I want our world to truly have isn't a magic that you can learn in a book. It has to be personal to you.
But that's how
You
a
mean
lot
like
of the
specialized
magics,
to you?
But that's how a lot of magics work in a lot of the worlds created in shows. Is that like, in a sense, you are working hard, and you see the people who think they work hard, they always fall short, or they always have more hubris than they do skill because they're, I'm so great. I'm gonna trash this guy who doesn't know a damn lick about magic, and they get fucking pancaked.
They get
Because their hubris was higher than their magical skill allowed them to be. And the people who are like absent-minded to the idea of magic in general, and they're like, oh, that's a real thing? What? Let me see if I can.
So we're playing by Lego movie standards.
Yeah, pretty much. But at the same time, like, we'll go to Hunter x Hunter, right? So in Hunter x Hunter, right, during the Chimera Ant arc, you got to that part?
I'm on that right now.
Oh, you are. So never mind.
I'm towards the end.
So do you know what happens to the, what is it, the girl Chimera Ant? The one who's a beast?
Yeah.
So you know how...
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
No, just tell me.
Are you sure?
I don't give a shit, dude.
Okay, so in the...
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, hashtag
Spoiler
spoilers for anyone who wants to watch this. So, like, Gon has to face her, right? She's, like, literally stronger than any of the hunters. Except for probably Netero. But Netero is gonna fight someone else. Yeah. You go to Netero. So Gon is facing against... I forget the girl's name, but that cat girl. Right, she's a fucking monster. Literally. Probably Killua couldn't even go toe-to-toe with her. You see how strong Killua is throughout the entire series.
Yeah.
He's just godly, with hereditary base, like his family of assassins.
From the get, they were
So,
like,
like,
we need to get this Nen ability.
Pretty much. Yeah. Like, he fails the first hunter exam because he kills someone. He kills someone, right? But then he fucking, next one, he pretty much gets a free pass.
Yeah.
You're like, alright, you're too qualified. Please, go. Go.
Get out.
Get your pass and leave, please. Gon is the guy that you see that you were talking about. The one who works hard every day and for whatever reason he's like the Luffy, right? Like so brainless, but at the same time works so hard that he literally accesses his power for one instance just to destroy this girl because she killed his mentor.
Yeah.
Right? And in that, he becomes a literally looking godlike.
Yeah. I mean, like, that's the whole thing. Like, they always talk about that in every single form of magic. If you watch television in general, they'll always come to it like, free your mind. And once you free your mind, your powers will be able to access.
That's like an enlightenment, though, too, right? That was the whole idea of enlightenment and Buddha and even karma, right? They always say, turn, like even in Greek mythology, they always tell you to turn inward, right? Instead of outwardly expressing your frustrations against someone else, right? Instead of using someone else as your mirror, turn it inward.
Yeah.
Right? When someone's angry at you, don't look at that as them mad at you, unless you are the cause of their pain.
Right.
But sometimes people get they vent, right? That's the term, they vent to you. Turn it inward. They're like, why is this person venting to me? Am I honored for this, or am I punished for this? I always look at it as honor. Well, yeah, we gotta get back to magic. Every time it's,
Every time we bring up something that pertains
I take
to
it
that-
too far. I take it
No,
too
not just you, me too, right? I was gonna ask you though, right? So like the idea of the human soul, would you consider that magic? Would you consider like if every single person, if we do all in fact have souls, which most of us just kind of accept that we do, right? Do you consider that magic? Because what does a soul
Like the
do?
conception of it having a soul,
Well, yeah, right. Like, because you
Or
can
like how it
take it,
came to
you
be.
can take it. What?
or like how it came to be is magic.
Well,
No,
even
no,
about
just
like
the
that,
idea
just like-
of a soul. Is it magic?
right, like the innate part of you.
So,
that
like,
just
let me
makes
ask
you
first,
you.
Vanille, do you believe we have souls?
Yeah.
I
do.
do.
Do you?
No, I was agreeing with that.
Yeah. Do you believe we have souls? Yeah. Do you believe that's a magical idea that we have souls? Because when you dissect the human body, it's nowhere to be seen.
Right.
It's not in the heart. It's not in the brain.
No.
Or so they say, right? So that, as far as we know.
Right.
So where is it? What is it? And is it magical? Do you think?
I feel like it's a figurative thing, so in that sense, it is magical.
So there you go. There's your answer from Vanille's perspective.
Right, but your
From
perspective.
my perspective, is it magical? I think a soul is just what it is, a soul.
Right, but what is a soul?
Exactly. It's what you are as a in your innateness. And what I mean by that is, what are you to you?
I'm a husband and a student and a son. And a brother. And a brother. Those 4 things.
That's your soul then. If that's what you truly believe is you, that's your soul. So no matter what anyone else tells you otherwise, you keep that soul as solid as possible. To me, what I think a soul is my core. So what's my core? Whatever makes me me. Right? It's going to be different than you. It's going to be different than you. Even though I am also a brother. I'm also someone's son.
Right.
Right? Mine's different than yours. That's what it means to have a soul, at least to me.
So, but then is it magical? Right? Because like my thing
In
is.
a sense, definitely.
Yeah?
Definitely.
Because
not in the sense of magical like we think in, like I said, Harry
in
Potter.
any
But
modern
like
media.
you always
think,
see
right?
that a lot of the people who like, again, in shows, right? Because that's all we can really base it off. And in actual text, they usually base magic around the soul. Not around the heart, not around the brain, not around your intelligence. They usually base it around how much soul you have.
Right.
Right? How much soul does this person have? That's how strong. They call it mana, right?
Yeah.
In some iterations. Sometimes they just call it your magical prowess, right? But for me, I just call it my soul. How strong is your soul? That determines how much magic you can withhold. That determines how much magic you can expend.
Right. I mean, because like my whole thing is, so a little backstory. My family tried to raise me Baptist and then Catholic. So the idea of a soul is always like God put you on this earth, and by putting you in the way He does that, He took your soul and He gave you a body and yada yada yada.
I kind of believe in that idea. I don't know if the God part,
Yeah.
but like the fact that like our souls and our bodies are 2 separate entities, but in this world, it's
Right.
one.
And this level
They're
of
married.
existence.
In a sense, they are married, right?
Right.
Till death do us part, literally.
Yeah.
When
Like
you
for-
die, I think, and this is what I've never died.
Right.
You can't really like.
You can't really know what's happening until you do it. Yeah.
Yeah, even people who do quote unquote.
Quick reminder: don't die.
Yeah. And in quote unquote, you can't really die and come back to life. You never die.
Right.
In my head.
I mean,
Right. Like, what does that mean? Like your brain function. Like what is death? When's the point of death? When your heart stops? Because your brain's still functioning when your heart stops.
Right.
You have like about 8 minutes until your blood stops pumping to your brain, that your brain starts losing function. So is it when your brain function stops or ceases? When you come back from that, usually you're a vegetable.
Yeah.
If you don't, then you're not a vegetable, then your brain didn't stop functioning.
right.
So we have to, you know what I mean? So I don't think anybody has the right of saying, and this is a hot take.
Hot take.
But I don't think anyone has the right of saying, I know what happens when you die. You don't.
No, you don't.
You don't. You might have a good guess. You might have good faith that this may occur. Right? But to say that you know exactly what happens when someone dies is to be fallacy, in my opinion. That's a hot take. It really is.
I don't know what
And
fallacy means.
That's
It's
fun.
like-
Like fake falseness. Like you
contradiction.
saying, I know exactly what happens when you die. Kendall, you're going to heaven, right? I can't say that.
I 100% agree with you there, though. Like, even though I was like, if you know Baptists, you know they're like hardcore, like, don't you dare doubt God. God always has a plan, God, blah, blah, blah. But my whole thing with, like, you can't just go to a person who's lived, right, who's just living, and then say, but are you ready for when you die? And it's like, no, of course not. But he goes, oh, but if you listen to me,
Well,
I can tell you exactly what happens when you die, so you can be ready.
Yeah. And it's like, no. I mean, even, like, again, and like, no disrespect to any priest, any religious figure
Right. If you
whatsoever.
are hardcore religious listening to this, do not take
Take
this
offense.
Yeah.
Please don't. Because I don't mean any bias. Because I don't mind you preaching what you preach about the afterlife.
Right.
If that's what you believe, some people don't.
Right. Also, don't take this as a chance to try to find us and then, show us your religious standpoints.
I mean, to me, you can.
Not
I'm
to
just gonna have I'm just gonna have not arguments in a negative. Again,
I
not
just
a
don't have the
negative.
energy
I
to
understand
try to go back and forth with them. I don't.
That's the thing is for me is I keep my stance solid.
Yeah.
And unless they change my mind, I'm not moving an inch, right? Unless they change my mind. Once they do that, then I'm willing to work.
I mean, I really
That's
only,
fluidity for me, though. You know me. I'm very fluid and flexible like that.
I only have really one problem with religion in general, and that's the fact that they expect me to get my ass up every Sunday to go to a crowded ass room and listen
But
to
the
some
thing
guy.
is, like, a lot of people who are super religious will go to church but won't actually follow the preachings, and to me, that's just like.
Yeah, that's always.
Well, we're not
Like-
talking about that right now. We're talking.
Yeah,
we're
that's
not
for
talking about
another
that.
episode.
We can
We'll
get
save
there.
that for another.
Yeah, we're not gonna go down this road.
I was about to. I'm glad you stopped me because I was about to fight.
No, I don't.
I was about to bite that bait so hard.
I knew.
Yeah,
I
another
knew.
episode. Another episode.
We're talking about genuinely religion in terms of like, is it magical right now? In my
Well,
opinion,
you're talking about mainly the soul, though, right?
what's
Yeah, because that was the time.
Because I know, like how you're saying, like your soul is kind of like the essence of who you are.
Mhm.
So people who kind of believe in reincarnation, like that essence kind of shifts.
Yeah,
like
shifts
that
into a
marriage-
new-
Like that marriage from you to your body, it shifts to a different entity, but you still have the essence of who you are.
Right. And but what I mean is like what I was trying to tie it into was like if the soul is in fact a magical entity within us all, right?
Mhm.
Then why is it then should we take that at face value and go, okay, yeah, it's a power that we have no idea how it works or how it got here, but it's there, and all it does is make you who it is, or is it something like a muscle? You can draw upon it, you can use it, you can
I
train.
think it's more like that, but you have to be really in tune with who you are.
And I feel like not very many people reach that point.
No.
Or
But the people that
Sadly,
do, what do
it's
they do
not
with it?
that, but it's that they get influenced by things they aren't okay with being influenced with, but they
They
do
still
it anyway.
accept it, yeah.
Right? Like for me, I literally, I don't want to say cut ties because I have in a sense, in a certain way, and at the same time I have. But like all the things I saw in people I didn't see in me, I cut ties with that part of them. Right? So like I hung out with people who were like party monsters, and I became a party monster too in it. And I realized that I didn't need that anymore, and I cut that part of my life out, which cut that part of them out of my life.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I was still willing to hang out with them out of that realm. If that makes sense.
But then how far do you need to go, right? To be fully in tune with yourself.
but I feel like
That's
this
a
goes back to
personal
it
question
goes back to your
yourself.
personal thing of
For
like
me, I'm sorry, go ahead.
that was like earlier you were saying like how he wants magic to be like personally catered to the person. I feel like that's pretty much what it is.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
your intuition on yourself, I guess.
Like for me, it took learning my own history. And I still have a lot of history to learn about myself. But like I've dived deep as I can, as far back as I can, as far as I can remember. And I can remember things up to like 3 years old and even earlier. There are very flickering moments. Like I remember I chipped my baby teeth on a couple of dumbbells when I had to be before preschool. And I went to preschool at like 3 or 4 because I started school at like 4 or 5. To start school early. Like that's how, and now for me it's not, like have you heard the idea of the Akashic Records?
Yeah.
So what are the, can you explain what it is?
The
Or
Akashic,
the,
I've seen the anime, the Akashic.
The bastard instructor.
Yeah, the Akashic. That's what I mean.
So, okay. So the Akashic records is the actual concept, and it's that within the stars or within space itself, there's something or someone or some being that has recorded every instance of everything going on, and you can tap into that power. They just don't know how. They believe you can.
I will
just
say
don't know
this.
how.
I will say this. There are those moments. You know what I'm talking about? The ones where you're going about your day, everything's completely normal, and you have just a random thought that has nothing to do with anything you're doing or anything you plan on doing, and that random thought eventually ties into your day.
Oh,
right?
for sure.
You know what I'm
That's
talking
all the talk. It's
Like,
like they call it deja vu,
Right.
right? Like I've seen this before. Huh.
No, not even that. Like, so when I was a kid, right?
Well, deja vu is kind of personal to people, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's the way that's one of the ways I see deja vu. Like, oh, I've seen this before. It's like history repeating itself.
Oh no, what I mean is like I call them God moments, where like one I really use to explain it is I was a kid once, right? I mean, as we all. And when I was a
I'm
kid,
still a kid, to be honest.
I mean that's true, facts. But so as a kid, I was like going about my day with my mom one day. I was like, Mom, I don't know why, but I feel like, yeah, you ever think about camels? We're going grocery shopping. She's like, no, I don't think about camels. Why on earth do I think about camels? I'm like, I just had a thought. I get home that day, I'm waiting to watch my favorite show, right? Called Dude, What If, or whatever it was called. Remember that old show? And on that exact episode, before I had ever seen it or anything, right? They were like,
They talked about camels.
they were like, our first chance is we're gonna do a race. We brought a camel. And I was like, holy shit.
No,
That's so weird.
But that happens, because, like, I'll tell you the story.
I'm trying to tie that into your Akashic records. That's what
Oh, okay, for sure.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
When you do have moments when you might be able to
Like someone placed that thought in your head.
Someone placed that thought, they're like, a camel's gonna be integrated into your life
Yeah.
at some point today.
Yeah.
Just be ready.
But yeah, dude, I did that all the time. They were, like, literally recollecting my past. Like, the other day, this was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was telling my brother about the story of this girl that I met in elementary school, Castlemont, right? The school I used to go to. And this had to be it was either kindergarten or first grade, right? So I was telling him, oh, do you remember that girl that was in my class? Her brother was in your, like, grade. Her name was Nadia. And he couldn't remember. But he kind of had, I told my dad the same story. I was like, do you guys remember? Like, we're not going to pull out the yearbooks because they're kind of buried. But, like, do you guys remember this? Because I remember her older brother used to pick on me and used to prank call our house phone. Like, I remember yeah. I remember the answering machine responding, and he would fake his sister's voice.
Yeah.
And then my brother and my dad couldn't remember that. They kind of remembered who the girl was. They kind of remembered, like, they tried to piece it together, but at the same time they couldn't have it. They didn't have it as complete as I did.
Yeah.
Dude, and like literally that same week, I see this girl at the bar I work at. Literally. She sees me and she goes, I know who you are. And I went, yeah, you're Nadia. Like, she asked me, she goes, I know who you are. And I went to her, wait, you're Nadia.
Yeah.
She's like, you're Steven. And I was like, yes.
That's what I'm talking about, right? Those moments where your mind just goes, here's a random thought. Just let you simmer on that for a moment, because later on, sometime down the road, usually relatively close to when you have the thought, right? Like a week or a day, you have a thought. That thought comes into your life and actually materializes in some event or, interaction, right? And going from here, right, having thoughts that, foretell events in your life, because that, in my opinion, right, that's why I want to believe in magic.
We have
people
those moments.
Here's the thing.
When you have genuine moments that make no sense in any real scientific meaning, yet still, like, you go and you say, oh my God, Nadia. And then later on that week, holy shit, that's Nadia. Right? Like, that has to be some type of...
Again, that always happens. I don't know if
it doesn't have to be.
I don't know if it's prediction sometimes, but, like, another night, same bar. This was before I was working there. It was literally the first night I went to that bar with my brother and his friends. It was 4th of July weekend. So it was either the day of 4th of July or the day after. It had to be the day of because I was hanging out with Chris and they went to go watch fireworks while me and my brother and his friends went to the bar. Mm-hmm. And they were going to meet up with us. And so we hung out, had a great night. You know, I was talking to a bunch of people, met up with some random people. And like my brother and his friends left, and Chris was still hanging with his friends and his posse. So I was like, I'll just hang out with them for a little bit. And I was like, it occurred in my brain where I went, I know who I'm going to see tonight.
And you know who I'm talking about. It was gonna be Maddie. I was like, I know I'm going to see her here. For some reason, something's telling me I'm gonna hang out with Chris. She's gonna be there too.
Yeah.
Just as I said that in my head, literally, as I turned the corner to go hang out with Chris's friend, she was sitting right there.
But I've had like that happen recently where sometimes I'll be driving to the gym and I have a friend from Berkeley who I went to the gym with a few times, and he moved back to like San Jose. And I was like, man, I haven't seen this person at the gym in a few days. And then I'll walk in and I'll see him at the gym. I'm like,
Yeah,
what the fuck?
right?
Like that's what I'm getting. Like you guys get it now, right? Like
Oh,
that
no,
has to,
I've had it.
that's basically magic.
No, it
It's
is.
basically
But that's the
magic.
thing. I was gonna say magic. Like again, so I told you I've taken a class that was like called witchcraft, magic, and tradition. I want to say it's called that.
Yeah.
And literally, I was the odd guy out, the guy outside looking in on these people who like believed in this idea of magic. Like I'm not talking like hocus pocus magic. I'm talking tarot cards.
Yeah.
I'm talking
Which
gems.
I've seen. You know, I was into that at one point.
Yeah, I'm talking like literally like
Or like people
like
believe in
shaman
like energy,
spells,
right?
like not the bullshit like hocus pocus alakazam. No, they would say spells that had like it was like a prayer to them,
Yeah.
but it was a spell.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Right.
And so like again, with me being like not new, like this being new to me and like unfamiliar, I was skeptical. And even to this day, I kind of am, but I'm a skeptic to a lot of it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I had a belief in it a little bit. Not because what they said or what they did changed me, and or like I experienced something of magic that they like casted upon me.
Mhm.
But I just kept my mind open to the idea. And that's the thing is like you see magic, in my opinion, I see magic in numbers. I see magic in people. I see magic in situations. I see magic in scenarios.
Yeah.
Like with numbers, like for me, how I see magical numbers is like, you ever see repeating numbers a lot?
Yeah.
Like just like on a day, you'll be like, you just look at the clock. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4. What the hell? And you'll look again, like just out of like I don't check the time. I really don't. But when I glance it or when it's smacking me in the face, it's always on something like weird like that. 2, 3, 4, 5, or not 2, 3, 4. Well, yeah, because I'm on military time on my phone.
Yeah.
So literally 23:45. Like, what the hell? Or be like 11:11.
Yeah.
Like that happens all the time. Where you're just like, but that's the beauty of it is I play games that like literally are just numbers.
Yeah.
Like and so like the numbers are random to such a degree because the numbers I play or the game I play deals with numbers to like the 28th power, 10 to the 28th power numbers. It doesn't display the whole number, but the fact that it generates that number and your first like 10 numbers on that line or something, and I look through it, I'm like, wow, that's, and I'll do like a bunch of like numerology things with it. So that means like I'll add the digits up and then I'll be like, oh wow, that came out to 6. That's my personal number. What the heck? That's weird.
It's not.
You know? So maybe I'm pulling my own shit out of it in some senses sometimes, where I'm like, I'm gonna force this number to work in my power.
Right.
By my I don't know,
Well,
by doing my numerology jujitsu on it.
So I think that's so interesting though, because me and Cassie, we have this thing, right? We talked about it the other day. I choose to believe she's cursed. Not like a real curse, like an inconvenience curse. And here's what I mean. So she'll order food. Like example, last night we ordered a chicken, bacon, pepperoni pizza, right? Just a normal pizza. Listen, chicken, bacon, pepperoni. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm eating it. I'm completely having a good time. Now, you know Cassie. You know she has, at least I told you this, she has 2 major foods that if she notices a chunk of it on there, she'll always find it every single time.
Mm-hmm.
So we're eating the pizza. Everything's fine. I'm eating pizza. No problem. She eats the pizza. She finds a single slice of onion
That'd be
on the
what
pizza.
I mean.
And it's not, but here's the weird thing. It's happened several times where we'll order a dish. I've had prepackaged food come to me. I'll cook it, and then she'll be like, why is there an onion? I'll go, I didn't put it there. It was in the prepackaged already, right? Because maybe they use onions to like savor it or like to add flavor and then got rid of it later on. But like, it's happened several times. We'll order foods that should have no onion in it, and she'll pick it up right there. That's an onion, and I'm all like, that's so weird. The reason why I bring it up is because your number thing, right?
Yeah.
There's just certain things about your persona or your life that you know that you personally connect to yourself.
Oh, for sure.
Right? Cassie knows for a fact she hates onions, hates tomatoes. That's it. Those are the only two things she cannot eat at all.
And then let's reiterate: sliced or like
Sliced
whole
or
tomatoes,
diced,
not
yeah.
tomato sauce, not ketchup.
Yeah, if you took onions or like tomatoes, put it in a food processor, made it a little paste, she'll eat that no problem.
Yeah,
Right.
It's just the whole thing.
It's just like when there's a
Like
chunk
pieces
of it.
of it.
Yeah, pieces of it. It's the texture, really, right?
For sure.
Anyway, when you look at that, those are the texture. That's just it. Just don't. She don't. She can't eat it. And yet it shows up only in her food every time. Now I could choose to say, "Oh, it probably happened in my food too. I just didn't notice it and just ate it because I don't notice that shit."
Yeah, because that's something, again, like you said, you leave abstinent.
Right. But or you can go. Or I can choose to go ahead and say, "No, that's weird. It only happens to you because I've never had it happen to me. It's never happened to anybody else." You go to eat food and you know for a fact you definitely don't want at least those things.
Here's the thing though, like you could think that in the sense, but like when you're eating an onion, you know you're eating an onion.
Right.
It's not hard to differentiate an onion in your food. It has that such a specific crunch to it.
Yeah.
Right. So like if you have really neglected your senses to that point where you've eaten this slice of pizza and you didn't notice an onion, low-key, I wouldn't be surprised, but at the same time, I would be pretty surprised that, you know.
Well, I mean, for me, it might be like a mental thing because I take
That's what I'm
pride
saying,
in the
though,
idea that like I could go through things that most people would. Like, I went to Boiling Crab once, right? And I ordered crawfish. What?
I feel like Steve was there.
Were you there that day?
I don't know.
I ordered crawfish.
Or you didn't know how to eat crawfish?
And I took the whole crawfish, shell and everything,
I don't
bit into
remember.
it. Okay,
Oh
yeah.
man.
So like
Did I teach you? I had. If that was the case, and if I was there, I taught you how to do
The
that.
dude taught him how to do it.
Then I was
yeah.
No, then you weren't.
Yeah, no.
Chris was there. Chris saw me from the get. Take that crawfish, eat it, shell and all, chew down the shell, everything, eat it like a boss. And then the waiter finally comes up and goes, "Where are all the shells for your crawfish?" I was like, "What do you mean?" I took a bite, looking him dead in the eye.
You should look at him. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Right, I'm getting these bones. Either way, it's a mental thing to me, right? Like I choose to like look at food that normally you go, "Oh well, you gotta work around it."
It's a puzzle. You're that guy who's like, there's like 17 pieces left in a puzzle, and
I just
I'm so done with it. You just
like this.
that one doesn't fit there. I don't care. I'm making it fit.
I did that as a kid once. I did take a puzzle and go, fits now.
Yeah. I wouldn't doubt it, dude. I wouldn't doubt that with you.
But I do want to bring up one last thing.
Yeah, go for it.
Dreams.
Are imagined.
They are so.
They are on the same realm to me as thoughts. And this is, and let me tell you something. Let me just preface things real quick. I haven't dreamed, to be really honest. I haven't had like a real dream in probably like 3 years.
I had
the
nightmare the other day.
Wait, so I feel like science tries to explain like how your dreams informed and shit, and I just feel like it's not it, bro.
No,
Like,
yeah, right.
But that's the thing. Science has tried it. Psychology has tried it. Like everyone's tried.
Like I definitely do think there are like when you have nightmares
There's
and stuff.
symbolisms to it.
There's definitely
for sure.
like okay, this does lead to like maybe a fear you genuinely do have, or like you thought of something that triggers this, or you saw a spider before you went to bed or some shit. And then like sometimes it does tell you like shit that might happen in the future, but I feel like it's not explainable by like a scientific method.
No. The fact that they like, the idea of REM sleep was pretty like new. It's on the newer side of science.
Well, I agree with the notion like sometimes there's a cycle, and if you just wake up too early, you just wake up more tired. But in terms of like the dream, I don't think that connects
like if
too
you
much with
wake up halfway through REM sleep,
Yeah.
you disturb your own sleep cycle. There's like sciences to that.
Like I believe that stuff. I just don't believe
Sure,
like
sure.
the dream.
But like when they access your delta brain, because that's what they say. It's like I believe, again, don't quote me on this, but I believe it's your delta brainwaves that are being produced that create dreams. So when you aren't sleeping healthily, and you're not producing delta brainwaves in your sleep, then you're not dreaming.
Right.
So what does that mean? I don't know. Like, I haven't done that research to that pedigree, and again, I don't even know if my current knowledge is on that right track. But that's what I think I remember, or that's what I can try to recollect. But from that point on, are dreams magical? Again, it's, to me, like I said, in the same realm of thoughts. It could be magical in the sense that you have it, and it could be, like, again, you can make head or tails of what dreams might be to you. It could be your life in another world. It could be your life in another, like, it could have been another part of your life. It could have been one of your past lives. It could have been one of your parallel lives. It could be just that of your imagination just going wild. Your subconscious just letting it just flow. You know what I mean? Just unlocking your subconscious to just flow. Right? There's so many ways you can interpret it.
Yeah.
Magic? I guess if I think thoughts are magic, and I do, then I think dreams are magic.
Okay.
That's how it goes.
So like, I mean, yeah, no, like I'm with you there, because like my whole what?
Have you ever had dreams where like it's like super vivid, but it's like not one of those fantasy dreams? It's like realistic.
Yeah,
and
well,
that shit happens
that was
like
the thing.
word,
That was my
like
nightmare the other
verbatim,
day.
like it happens like the next day or some shit.
Like my nightmare the other day. So like, when I have nightmares, what makes them nightmares to me isn't because they're like
They're
gonna die.
They're scared.
they're like taking things that scare me and they're putting it there, sort of like that. But what makes them nightmares to me is that I can't discern
If it's a
that it's
dream or
a
if it's
dream or
not.
it's not.
I've had those.
So like the nightmare I had, right? It was so weird. Yeah, okay. Like you know the type of girls I'm into, right?
Yes, we do.
And I'll take the opposite of that, put that in my dream, and now understand that like that the opposite of that was there, and I was married to that.
You're married to something that
I was
you
married
are
to-
not attracted to.
Yeah, and that wasn't what was scary. What was scary was I still had the full memory from Cassie being my girlfriend, being in my life for all those years. So when I remembered Cassie, what did my nightmare do? It sent her a text saying, "We're done." And I woke up.
And you checked your phone, didn't you?
No.
Oh, I did.
No. Sorry, let me finish.
Oh,
So
God,
I sent her
sorry.
that text.
I'm sorry
In the
for
moment I
saying
sent her that text, in the dream, a day went by, realized, what the fuck am I doing? I don't even like this bitch. And I freaked out for like and it felt like several days in my dream where I'm freaking out, like, I need to find Cassie, I need to get Cassie, I need to talk to Cassie. And then I woke up and I was still freaking out. I didn't check my phone, but I woke up and I was like, I was just in the middle of Central Park. What the fuck am I doing in bed? And I went, holy shit, it was a dream. Oh my god. I thought for a split moment I broke up with Cassie over text, and I freaked out for the rest of the dream. I was freaking out. I was like looking for her and everything in the dream, and then I woke up and I was like, oh shit.
So when I used to drink, I used to have those kind of thoughts, those same things where it's like, I would have the dream and it was so realistic. And it's like, honestly, half the things I did were realistic based on who I was at the time, except for like small little things that, like, same thing. You'd be like, oh my god, like, I really did.
Yeah.
And I would literally check my phone to make sure I didn't send that message to that person. I'm like, okay, it wasn't drink.
Yeah. Like it's
Oh.
like that's
Can you take that? Yeah, that's how I went.
That's why I say dreams are magical, because there's nothing else we experience in this life besides actual reality that can convince us entirely that is reality.
Yeah, for
There's
sure.
nothing else.
For sure. And like I said, I haven't, and I probably have. Like, let's be real, I probably have had a dream or two, or even a handful within those last 3 years, but nothing of what I used to dream of. You know what I mean? Like, and it wasn't like I dreamed of, like you said, I never dreamed of anything super surreal.
Yeah.
Like dragons or aliens or all these like surreal ideas. No, mine were realistic dreams. Like mine were like, I wake up and I'm playing soccer and I missed that shot. God damn it.
Right.
Like my dreams were like, oh, me, I'm practicing soccer every day. Or, oh, it's me going to school. Or it's, oh, me having fun going to the beach and bonfire with friends. Like those were literal dreams I had. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like the way I see it nowadays is I don't dream because like I'm living it.
Right. You're living.
So I don't need to dream because I'm living in my dream right now. So
I have that.
when I wake up,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing.
Nah, dude. Like I had I get so sad because I'll go to bed and I'll be like meditating, because I meditate while I'm in bed before I fall asleep. I'm like, yes, I'm like, and then
You try to lucid dream, basically.
yes, 100% lucid dream. I want kids. Anyway,
Have you?
no.
Have you ever been able to?
But
Like,
I mean,
you've never been able to like lucid dream?
When I lucid dream, it's because I'm in high stress situations in my dream.
but
and
like,
I go
like full on dreams where you can like change whatever in an instant. you
There's
know?
only one time in my life where I actually had full control over a dream, and it was a nightmare, and it was because I was like 8, and I was tiny in the dream, and I was in the old daycare. You remember how they changed it for the back of the school, but it was originally in the front? I was in there, and a spider grabbed me, and I felt the spider along, and I was hyperventilating, and then I went, spider, let's go. And the spider let go, and I looked back, and I ran. That was the only time. That was the only time I ever, like, it felt like I heard God's voice in my dream saying, the spider, let's go. And then I let go and I ran. That was the only time I ever controlled a dream.
Every time I've had a lucid dream, I've had that like God complex thought where I want. I can literally fuck whoever I want right now. I can literally control whoever. And I wouldn't. I never chose that power. Like I would just control little things. I was that guy. Like I was, yeah. I'm the guy that you would be very disappointed at with all the power.
All the power.
Because I'm like very benevolent. You know what I mean? Like I really don't want to harm a soul. I'm not gonna harm one because, and again, especially now how I think about it, I don't know if this dream world that I'm in is a real world to someone else in another like universe, another whatever, another realm of thought, dimension. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't go to that level because I don't want it to come back to me one day.
See, my thing is, right, I don't get to control my dreams, but I will say there are 2 types of dreams I've had that, from what everybody else says, moment certain things in the dreams should have happened, I should have woken up. Right? Because you know the whole thing, like, if you feel yourself falling in a dream, wake up. I was in a dream, and you remember the little video games where, like, if you would go to the edge of the map, your body would just fling super far and, like, ragdoll it and then hit the ground and then restart?
Yeah, where you like literally jump off the edge and then like it just game physics started like literally just go out the window.
Go out the window and you just see yourself falling under the map.
And the pure shock is supposed to supposedly wake you up.
That happened to me in a dream. I was on a motorcycle. Motorcycle flings me. I'm over a beautiful lake. I see trees in the distance, but I feel myself literally falling the whole way down. And it wasn't until I literally, right before I hit the ground, right, I woke up. And then the second one was that, I told you about this, I died in a dream. And I woke up again, still in the dream as a ghost.
Sometimes, like, I'll have dreams where I die, but then it just puts me in another dream. Like, I don't wake up. I just, like, keep dreaming random shit.
You reincarnated within that dream.
No, like, I straight up, like, died, and I was like, this is the same fucking dream. Like, I just saw this bitch die. What the fuck? Now I'm a ghost.
There's his body right there.
Quick
question. This is a quick hot take question.
We can do this, and then we probably should end it.
No, I don't know if we should end it on this.
Oh,
we'll have to,
we'll do whatever.
Yeah.
We're free to do what we want.
Yeah, you're right.
Reality.
Have you ever had a wet dream?
Of course.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you?
I feel like when I was like in puberty, yes.
Really? I've never had this.
You've never had a single wet dream?
Mm.
Oh, you lucky bitch.
Yeah.
You lucky bitch.
I never understood.
Maybe we're just
because like people used to make that joke in like movies. Like 51st Dates, if you ever seen that movie, they make a joke about that.
Yeah.
Like wet dream.
Yeah.
I never understood it. Like I know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It never happened to me, so I never had that in.
I will be 100% honest, right?
Yeah.
I only had one. I only had wet dreams when I was single, and I only had one wet dream that was a complete like I have no regrets. Like I woke up, saw a nut in my pants, and went, yup. That's what happened last night.
Gave yourself a figure one of these. Like,
Yeah,
proud of myself.
That you crushed me, Lacunas, last night. You good, bro. No, like that. Like I remember. But here's the thing. That one, the only one where I was like no regrets. Like I knew a nut in my pants when it happened. was it was like it wasn't even like oh you're having sex. It was just genuine and like just titties. Just titties. That's what I was going for. You know what I mean? I don't want to have to beat my dick anymore. I want to either have sex or have my brain go, fuck dude, I'm gonna do some nasty shit to you right now. Turns a dial and is like, holy shit. Because I live with Cassie. Cassie would not give me shit. I'll tell a story right now. I have not told anyone. Cassie and me are the only two people in the world that know this story. I was sleeping on a couch in a vacation home with Cassie's grandparents and her godparents and all their friends, right? I flat out had a dream where I was in, you know, one of those rooms where you're surrounded by toilets?
Yeah.
Had a full-on dream, surrounded by toilets. Started taking a piss, and then I went.
Oh fuck.
And then when I started taking the piss, my mind went, Kendall, you're on a couch. And I woke the fuck up, and I run to the bathroom, like trying to hold what little pee I had left. And I was like, nah.
I've done
fucking the whole way.
I've had that piss dream where I'm like peeing in my dream, and I'll force myself to wake up so I notice so I don't be pissing my bed. And I don't, but like that idea freaks me the fuck out.
But here's the worst part. I was literally 20 years old.
No, but that happened. I was gonna say that happened to me like in my college days, dude. Where I'd be like, in my dream I'm pissing. You know, I'm like, this is such a good relief. And I'm like, no, wake the fuck up, because you'll piss yourself for real if you keep going at this.
All right. But the thing, in regards to wet dreams, no. I used to have them all the fucking time in middle school.
Yeah.
And then I got into high school, started
And
having
you just
sex.
having sex. Yeah.
So one of my friends, like a few months ago, was on a flight, and he like, you know, how people sleep on flights or whatever, and he had like a dream about fucking someone. But then he was like, "Yo, I hope I wasn't like moaning out loud, like with people next to me."
That's always my worst fear. And when I sleep, is that I moan somebody's name, and Cassie goes, "Who the fuck?" You know what I mean? It could be like because she knows like it could be anybody's name. She doesn't know how to go to that person in the dream, but like, yeah, no, I definitely, I know I sleep talk too. That's a weird thing. I sleep talk.
I used to get
Sleep apnea.
No, oh yeah, I used to. I actually used to have it bad, but I used to go to sleepovers with friends, and I'd get embarrassed because I'd wake up and be like, "Dude, what the fuck were you doing in your sleep?" I don't know. What was I doing, dude? I don't know. You were possessed or something. I'm like, I was.
Actually, I watched Cassie
Like
have
sleepwalking?
a night terror once.
No, I wouldn't sleepwalk. I don't know what it was. Like I either snored like a monster or something. Like no one ever told me what it was, but they were freaked out by my sleep. I was like,
probably just had like a night terror. You know what I mean? Because I watched Cassie have one, and when she has them, she's like tossing and turning, and she's moaning and stuff like that.
maybe. But yeah, I mean that's been way under control now, like especially now. But yeah, dude, it used to be bad apparently, because I wouldn't know. I'd wake up and be like, "Yo, guys, this is good sleep, huh?" They're like, "Dude, look like you were fighting demons." Like, oh, what? All right, well, I hope I was defending y'all's honor then.
Yeah. Like I hope I defend my country.
Yeah.
But like, no. Also, by the way, wet dreams is always a good note to end it up. Leave wanting more, as I say. No, but like, the whole thing with dreams in me and like all that stuff is like, my mom, right? My mom is a big part where I get my whole superstitious side from.
Yeah.
Because she's the kind of,
My mom's side of the family, dude, too. My dad's side is literally the complete opposite.
Yeah.
Like, fucking throw superstitions out the fucking window.
right, same
Fucking
here.
black cats, I'm gonna fucking cross their path any day. I'll do it 3 times over. That's my dad. My mom is like, my mom literally is like, we're driving. She sees a black cat. Nope, we're going to the back and around the other way. It'll take us 20 extra minutes, but I'm not crossing that black path.
My mom made a 3-point turn, and you know where the swimming pool is near Central Park in the library? You know, Santa Clara Library?
Yeah, we were just there.
Yeah, so you know that little, like, where the underground parking is?
Uh-huh.
She just passed that black catwalk. She does a 3-point turn.
Yeah. No,
drives back.
Mom does the same fucking shit, dude. Mom does the same shit.
I feel like I'm just not aware of so many superstitions that I probably just like.
But that's the thing is like,
Superstitions are what you know.
they only affect you if you believe in them.
Right.
In my opinion.
No, like, what I was going to talk about. My mom is an empath.
Yeah,
Like facts. Like she straight up like she'll go on with her day, and I kind of have it too, which is I hate it.
Wait,
like,
what's an empath?
So an empath is someone who can like emotionally has emotional connections.
Yeah. So what
they don't need to be.
They can jump into your shoes like that, and they're pretty accurate.
Right.
Like they're not perfect. No one is perfect at trying to see from your own perspective.
Right.
I can't ever see with your eyes ever.
Yeah.
Even, like never.
You never.
But I can do my best to try and either use negative spaces to fill the gaps or use perspectives that are similar to yours to help try and, like I said, fill the gaps.
Right. So like my mom and I sort of have it and I hate it, but one thing that happens to the both of us happens most to her, and I think it's because she's more in tune with herself and
That's
whatever.
usually empaths, is they're fucking healers most of the time.
Exactly.
Not most of the time.
Would your mom also be like, if someone with like bad voodoo walks in her house, she'd be like, that's some bad energy?
Well, that's what it means to be kind of a healer in a sense. So, like, let me try and break it down, at least from how I know it, or how I understood it in my own eyes. So, an empath, to be a healer, you have to be an empath. Right. To be an empath, you don't have to be a healer.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't go back and forth.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know, your mom is pretty much a healer.
Right.
So she has to be an empath. Right? It's the logic. That's like logic-based shit.
Yeah.
But, like, at the same time, and so an empath, like we said, is like, where you can put yourself in someone's shoes and you don't feel sympathy, sympath, right?
Yeah,
sympathy.
yeah.
But you don't feel sorry for them. You can put yourself in their shoes and understand them as best as you physically can, or as you can mentally.
Yeah.
If you never get to that point completely, and empaths know that, for the most part, at least well-known empaths who know themselves well, know that they can't ever really see from your perspective, but they can do their best to try and see what you're seeing.
But like, what's weird about it, because we're talking about magic. We get these things, mainly her. So let's just stick to her. She had a moment, and this happens quite frankly, but the easiest one to explain is this one. She calls me, and you know when she calls me, my grandma, my dad, everybody she knows except one person, because she's having a pit. She has a pit in her stomach. She's like, I don't know where this feeling's coming from. It feels panicked and like, you know, just all sorts of disarray. And it's not me, because I have my shit handled. You know, like everything I know, like Kendall's at school, my job's handled, you know, everybody's fine. So she calls everybody because she knows one of those people she's about to call is gonna have a problem. Is having a major problem. So she had just broken up with her boyfriend Brent. And it's been 3 months now. Sometimes they send each other emails back and forth, maybe a text message or two. But she's trying to be like, we had our time and now it's time for us to move on. But she's in the middle of work. She calls me. Are you okay? No, I'm completely fine. And she goes, oh, God. She calls Brent. What happened? Brent is like, actually though, it is so weird. I just got this message like an hour ago, and this message told me like I need to find like something wrong with my money, or something wrong with his current fiance, or something wrong with his uncle. Either way, it was something random that was causing a lot of stress on Brent, and that stress my mom picks up on and can feel all the way across the state.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
And there's no other explanation other than magic.
A little bit, because I don't want to say that I'm there, but I am an empath for sure. I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
And I used to do that with all my friends. When they felt pain, I felt their pain. That's what it means to be an empath.
Right.
I put myself in their shoes of my own volition, right? I don't do it because I'm forced to. I do it because I want to help. Right. I see them in pain. I'm like, I'm going to join in your pain and help to see how we can see this problem together. Solve it like engineers.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least let me say if I can use my engineering skills, because to be an engineer means problem solving.
Yes.
Anyways, the funny thing is like, this is why I also think sometimes the magic plays a huge aspect in that role. It happened literally last night. I was showering in this shower, my new shower, right? My new bathroom.
Yeah. Your own bathroom.
Yeah, the bathroom that I now claim over here instead of the one outside. And halfway through my shower, because I just installed a new bathtub nozzle. Right, the bathroom nozzle fucking flies right out. So my whole shower is shot because no water's being fed back up to the shower. So I turned it off, and I had shampoo already in my hair. I'm like, I'm gonna finish this shower in my old bathroom. So I did that. On my way down, I can go multiple paths. I go the path I used to go, which was the one from my old room, out the back, so that outside bathroom. On my way over there, Benny's like, oh hey, I'm glad that you, like, what a surprise that you came down here. Like, I could really use some advice. Alright. I step into his room and we talk about an issue that's personal to him, so we won't discuss it here. Yeah. But we talked about it, and like, it was like the funniest. I would have never gone downstairs. I would have never had that encounter with Benny if it wasn't for my shower fucking doing what it did. Right. And like, I mean, I can explain why it might have slipped off. You know, it'd be like, oh, it's because I put too much grease on it. But dude, at the end of the day, to me, low key, that was magical.
Yeah.
Because of this little incident, maybe because of my little fuck up that I did make, it led me to that.
Right.
And even Benny's put it that way. He's like, yeah, I was crying to the universe for help, and you came. I was like,
There you go.
and that's what I said. I was like, well, there we go. Like,
That's magic right there. Because like you can't just because some people can go ahead and say like, oh, well, God,
Well, see,
that happen?
and that's the thing is you'll have the people who do.
Right.
They'll be like, oh, I can explain that logically. You had shampoo in your hair. You didn't feel like washing it in the sink because logically you'd want to use a shower and finish your shower.
Yeah.
So what are you gonna do? Use the next available option. And yeah, that's true. But
You
I
could
could have
use
chosen.
CJs, you could use anything.
I could have done that. I could have gone a different path in my house to go to avoid Benny. No, I chose the path I chose. I went down. Like free will allowed me to do what I wanted to do, go the path I wanted to go down. And it led me through the path that was the most beneficial to the people who needed it to be.
Right.
It was. And I finished my shower and I came back and I was like,
There you go.
the room itself changed for the better, or it felt as much.
Yeah, like your energy, a little more aligned.
Yeah.
And on that note, I think this is a good place.
That's a good place to stop on this topic for sure.
Yeah. Because like just basically, if you could leave this knowing one thing, understand it like
Magic's only real if you want to believe it to be.
100%. If you really want magic, if you want Harry Potter type magic, that's going to be a problem.
That's
Become a computer scientist, we might get there one day. But
yeah.
or a physicist.
So like in like the whole like world of magic and like I think it's real.
Yeah.
You guys can say otherwise, and I'll explain how my world of magic is different from how you think you might see it.
But basically, just believe and listen to your heart, and don't be a dick. And on that note, it's your boy Waffles,
And your boy Maui.
and this is
Couch Surfin.
Peace.
Peace.